So I've always had like love and respect for the Bay, bro. And music wise, come on, short and 40, that just goes without saying. But when you're talking about real originators, I was just about to say my personal favorite is Mac Dre, because that's everything that we stand for. That's everything that the culture is about, bro. It's one of a kind originality with true bona fide lyricism and ear for fucking a party fucking song and a vibe that you're giving out. It's, see, the thing is that a lot of people get fucked up, especially when you're coming from like a background of like either like, can I see the lighter, please, baby? You know, freestyling or battling in acapella style or whatever. It's like, bro, music's not about words, bro. Music is about feelings, like, period. You're using words in conjunction with rhythms and music and instruments to conduct a feeling. That's at least how I look at it. And so it almost seems, you know, counterintuitive, because I'm such a student of and so intentionally say every single thing that I say. But at the same time, the only reason I do that is to create the vibe. It's not about the words. It's all these rhyme schemes, the alliteration, all these things are tools that I'm using to create the feeling. It's not about the words. Like, I don't ever separate words from the beat. There's no beat and words in my songs. You know what I'm saying? There's songs. Niggas don't say, hey, kick that Jimi Hendrix verse. How does it go? And niggas just bust the verse. No.
That's a good point.
Like, because that's not, it's music. It's music. You can't really separate it. Yeah, the words are tight, and yeah, the instrumental stuff, but how the fuck you take it away from each other?
Right.
It's supposed to be one. And so I think a lot of people have the tendency to forget that part, especially when they come from a background of word dominant rapping or whatever. It's like, yeah, bro, but the words are just one piece in that fucking puzzle. They need to just be, the words aren't by themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Mac Dre, one of those people. Oh, sorry, but
no. I just want
to, like, no, go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to say before we kept going forward, because you said the whole thing about the songs and like having it be, you know, there's not words in a beat, it's all together to make the song. Do you feel like, you know, the rappers that are like, they try to be kind of too technical and stick like too hard to like a rhyme scheme and too up above kind of with lyrics wise, where it's like very compound words, a lot of syllables and things like that. Do you feel like that kind of stops them from creating that, and that's the thing that separates like somebody like an Eminem from that person?
I personally, I mean, all I can say about it is I don't really listen to it. You know what I mean? Because there's better feeling shit to listen to.
Yeah.
And
like real quick, a perfect example of it. You know who Dax is?
Yeah.
I feel like he's a perfect example of that, because he's a really good rapper. Like, he's a good lyricist. But his music, sometimes, like, I'll turn it on, listen to it, and I'm like, yo, this is just too much right now. It's just like attacking the shit out of your ears.
To me, it's like Eminem now. It's like there's a clear separation in the words and the music. So sharp, so sharply clear. There's a fucking chasm between the words and the music. It's words on the music. Like, see, I don't even create like that. People don't, like, you can't send me a beat and then I just rap on it. Like, that's not how that works. If we're working over the internet, nigga, your beat's gonna come back with shit changed, maybe some shit added, maybe the beginning is fucking flipped and fucking revert. Like, it's gonna be a thing, because I need access to all pieces of the fucking puzzle. Like, I'm not just painting on top of something. Like it's inside of it. You know what I mean? It has to be one. And that was what I was saying. It's like Mac Dre. Listen to the Bay sound. Listen to what you now call the new LA sound, quote unquote, which is really a little more hyper version of an old hyphy sound with a little more instruments. It's real. That was just created, not solely by, but very popularized by Mac Dre.
You guys might, that's so weird, because to me, like, the 5 through 8 is like the best season.
The best season.
So like, it's wild that would be the lowest, like the ratings aren't that good, but it actually might have, like, what's the turning point? Why do you think
how old were you when those seasons were on?
4.
Maybe 6.
Right. See, that's the thing.
Right.
18 to 34 was not 18. The TV only cares about 18 to 34 and 18 to 49. Okay, so the show was getting these ratings. We get 90% of everybody under 18, but we only get 11% of people 18 to 49. And all those people would all be watching Mad About You, or or 60 Minutes, football overrun, or whatever. So that's the thing. Like, they didn't care. Nobody cared that people under 18 were loving the show when it was broadcast.
The fans that ended up growing up finally got to the age where they cared, and then the ratings. Wow, that's really interesting. All right.
I should also say, you guys don't remember. You're all sure you don't remember. Grown-ups really did not like animation back then, and like, this is the thing that is absolutely, it's mind-boggling today. The Simpsons was other than the brief appearance of Wait Till Your Father Gets Home in the 70s. The Simpsons was the only primetime animated show since the Flintstones, the only one.
Yeah.
And people thought that. And I'm not talking about 90% of people thought that cartoons were for kids, because they were. Every cartoon that had ever been made, except for 2 or 3, theatrical films by, like Fritz the Cat, were made for kids. So when the Simpsons came on, everybody thought it was for kids, and they were shocked because Bart said, "Eat my shorts," and it's like, hey, we can't show that to kids, and everyone was really alarmed about it. So. But even through the time that we worked on The Simpsons and long into the early 2000s, you'd always run into people who say, "I don't watch cartoons. Cartoons are for kids." And they would say it to you, even though you worked on The Simpsons, you'd be shocked. It's like, "You see Simpsons? Oh, yeah, no, I don't watch cartoons. That's for kids." And you'd be like, damn, this show is pretty respected. But anyway, so that was the attitude of people. And honestly, until like their King of the Hill and South Park, when those two came on, that was when this thing started to crumble. This prejudice against cartoons, and then people who obviously grew up with that don't have that prejudice. But I suspect that most people over 50 probably still feel that way.
One of my favorite episode of all time is Homer's Enemy with Frank Grimes. So I have to throw it out there. But like,
that was not that popular at the time either.
It's the funniest episode. That's like, you could ask Dan up here during quarantine. He actually texted me, "Give me 10 Simpsons episodes to watch." Literally, almost all of them you were either a writer or showrunner on. So like So like, Frank Grimes is my favorite episode, and I want to ask about like this specificness of the writing, how it works. So in the one scene, Frank Grimes comes in, where he comes into Homer's house and he's just exhausted, and he's like, "All I got to show for it is this briefcase and his haircut." 2 of the most unique things to write in, but they work. So like, how many things do you throw out there before you decide on briefcase and haircut? Because if you would have just said these shoes and these glasses, it's not as funny. But like, they're so specific with briefcase and haircut, and then you live on top of a bowling alley below another bowling alley. Like, how does it work like that?
That's I'm not sure, but I'd be willing to bet money that that's just Swartzwelder. I bet that was all in his first draft. That was not pitched out. Like, I remember the way that that episode worked was, it was my idea. Actually, I'll take some credit here. It was my idea to have Homer have an enemy. It's like, because we're often just going through like, what's regular stuff that regular shows do? Well, Smithers, like, that was what Homer the Smithers was one like that. We were like, I can't believe we didn't already do this idea where Homer replaces Smithers. She was very obvious. And they were like, what's another thing that regular, comic strips, movies do? Well, someone has an enemy. What's the enemy like? The enemy is different than him. It has a different outlook. Okay, and that was my contribution to that. And then we got Swartzwelder in, and Swartzwelder gave it his demented touch that only he could provide. He wrote the first. I think we just kind of pitched it out, and we said, here's the general arc of the thing. We spent several hours, as we always did, and then he wrote it. And my guess is that those lines you're quoting just came from him. I mean, like, his brain doesn't work like anyone else's, and that's why he was so valuable at The Simpsons.
Well, the one you specifically wrote, you wrote the Skinner and Seymour You wrote the Skinner and Chalmers scene in the...
Yeah, steamed hams. Yeah.
Okay. The Aurora Borealis, where the hell did that come from? Like, how did you think of
I don't know,
that?
seems like an obvious lie. Like something's bright, it's bright. Like that whole thing was like, it just kind of flowed out of me because I was just like, okay, well, what's the next lie? Like, you just got to be in Skinner's head. Like, well, he's more and more desperate, and he just keeps the lies grow more and more preposterous. So what's something that's bright? I don't think that took very much thinking. It's like, there's something bright in the other room. What could it be? What's a bad lie about it? Well, it's the Aurora Borealis. And for some reason, it's one of the most famous things having to do with the Aurora Borealis these days.
It's amazing.
So were there like any like jokes that you wrote that didn't take off or still haven't taken off that you still think is like one of like the best things that you wrote?
You know, a lot of them have come over time. A lot of them have finally gotten their due. Like, you guys, just to reiterate, most of this stuff was not that popular until the past 10 years. Like, I never heard anything about the steamed ham sketch until 5 years ago, when it suddenly became this insanely popular meme due to people in Australia calling the grocery store and asking for steamed hams. And then it took off from there. But like, like most of this stuff was not like, people didn't really like the Frank's. Like, I remember Frank Grimes. We were like, people are going to love this. And then nothing. The only thing we got one letter from a guy who was in the Army who said, "You've totally captured what it's like to be in the Army. Like, people are so stupid and no one will listen." And we put it up on the wall with a thumbtack, and we're like, there's one guy who likes Frank Grimes who got it.
It's trial by error, but at the same time, using, okay, if he's in a hole, he can't turn around to get me with the other hand. He can only, so if I grab the claw, he can't bite me. You know, that kind of, I got the corner. So it's a lot of trial by error. Like, if you're gonna jump an alligator, okay, I don't want to get bit by this alligator. I want to jump on him. This is later on in high school. So the idea is, okay, grab the alligator by the shoulders, keep his mouth away from you, and then somehow or another end up grabbing his jaw and trying to shut it and hold on to his jaw shut and hold on to the alligator at the same time, trying to hand catch something that at the same time can kill you.
And he said later on in high school, I wouldn't do that shit right now.
Yeah, like, that's like so incredible. Manny, I couldn't even do algebra in high school. You're sitting here getting bit by rattlesnakes and stuff, like crazy.
Yeah, did you
free handling a snake, you know, a pygmy rattlesnake, and I got bit by that. Later on, I got bit by a western diamondback, and that one lost a finger to that one.
Jeez.
But it is like, okay, I remember seeing in movies where you grab the snake by the neck to keep, you know, once I grabbed that, I found out that the jaws come unhinged and those fangs pop out and they can reach around and get you many different ways. There was more to it than that. And also I learned how to catch fish by hand, all kinds of tactical things like that.
So it wasn't like you had any like formal training into any of this stuff. It's like you just literally just like all instinct on your part.
trained yourself?
It's I remember, you know, okay, I'm gonna hold a flashlight on the alligator. Somebody's gonna hold, and I'm gonna come running and jump on it. So he's got the lighting down on him. He doesn't see me coming. I'll land on the alligator and try to grab him any which way I can and try to keep from getting bit by him at the same time. It started there, but even from there, I went to like, okay, spear fishing and then hand feeding sharks, riding sharks. I was doing that 25 years ago. Hand feeding the sharks and riding them and all that stuff. So I learned, well, if I hold the food this way, make sure he doesn't get my hand inside his mouth, but angle it to the side a little bit, and how to attract them, and, you know, learning how to read when the shark's going to take the bite, the way he dips. And normally it takes a long time to draw the shark in that close. So he builds up this confidence to eat from your hand. There's wild animals never been hand fed before. Usually back then, they didn't have shark feeding stations where I was. Let's put it this way. It was all different. And it's tactical, a lot of tactical thing. And I always say, well, it's a gift of God. I told that to her. That's as simple as that. They're God's creatures, so I always want to have a good with God, because those creatures can kill you at any time.
You're from Cuba, right? You came over
Yes.
at 4 years old, I read.
Yeah, that's where I started in Cuba with hand catching the land crabs. I was in Cuba.
Nice.
There are no venomous snakes in Cuba, so I got into that over here. There are crocodiles, but I didn't get my hands on crocodiles in Cuba. I ended up over here doing it.
Think about how like that sounds. There was no venomous snakes in Cuba, so I decided to pick the hobby up in America. I love it, man. I have to ask you, Wayne. I remember the trick you did. I'll never forget at the graduation party. You had a card with a name written on it, and somehow, maybe I imagined this. Somehow you had it. It was in my dad's wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're laughing. How does that happen? He's like, yeah, I did that. How does that? You literally, Eric, this guy, because Eric wasn't at the party, he wrote his name on a fucking 7 of clubs and goes, oh, where is it? Ray, check your wallet. My dad checked his wallet and the card's in there. How is that possible?
I don't. What's weird is you've just totally brought that up. What's weird is I actually have something in my wallet right now that you might find interesting.
It's my license.
It's your dad's wallet.
Yeah. Hey, it's your dad's wallet. No.
My dad would be like, give that the fuck back.
No, I'm going to try something. Since you brought it up.
Yep.
Weird question. Okay. And I'm going to keep this here.
Test Eric, because Eric's never really, Eric wasn't around for my graduation party.
I'm a big believer in fate. So we'll get Eric involved here. I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep this here. Let me ask you a quick question, Eric, before I even do anything. If you were to go on a free vacation somewhere, all expenses paid, go anywhere you want, tell us out loud, where would you go if you could go anywhere in the world?
Pre-COVID, Italy.
All right, imagine you're in Italy, right? You go into a hotel. What's your imaginary hotel room number in Italy? Make it up and tell us.
Tell you right now?
Yep. I know what it is.
17.
Okay, is that your lucky number?
Yeah.
I had a feeling. And you were able to guess it as well. Remember the wallet that I told you about? Here, well, I'll show you. Okay, good. My manager's on it.
Hector!
Where? Okay, what camera? This camera? Cool, look.
No, it's not.
Behind my driver's license, I don't want to flash my thing. I don't want anyone knowing my address. In here, in the plastic behind my driver's license, I have this Post-it note, right?
No.
And I put this in my wallet earlier as a prediction.
Can't deal with this.
Check this out.
No.
I have 2 things written on here. It says Italy 17.
Italia 17.
Yeah.
Italy. No, man.
That is so fucking amazing.
Eric, how is that? And he disappeared.
Yeah.
Eric.
Peru 59. This is crazy.
All right, I have to say, this isn't even pre-recorded. This is legit. I know you'll never reveal it, but Eric, do you have
I don't know. I don't know if it's the second beer that got to me or this is real life, but I'm a fan. My birthday's coming up soon. I'm going to call you.
When, you ventured into that, how did your parents react when you wanted to do drums as opposed to, not going to school or doing sports?
My mom was into it and honestly pushed it, like some of my early bands and stuff, my mom was loading drums into her Ford Tempo and taking me to the shows. When I started doing shows, I needed to put my house number on the flyers to give directions. And the day of the show, my mom would sit by the phone and I'd give her all points directions to the Manville Elks and she would sit on the phone and take calls. So she was
nice.
Down for it and supportive, for sure. Almost probably pushed me into it. My father's whole thing was kind of you do what you do, but whatever you're going to do, you go balls out, and you see things through to the end and you be disciplined. That's kind of his vibe. So I think at first, he was okay to let me explore. I mean, honestly, at the time I was making these decisions, I wasn't listening. My family was split and I wasn't really listening to what Pops had to say at that time anyway. But it did get to a point maybe in my, 23, 24, where I was still kind of at this and nothing was really clicking yet, on a bigger level that I think, he was starting to get maybe time for a change, that kind of thing. Yeah, so there was definitely there was some hairy years there, especially before Gaslight. I mean, I didn't even meet Brian until I was 26. And, we quickly, things went quickly, but there was a few years there, like right before Gaslight, where if you asked me, I would have said, this is my last band. Like, this is my last go at it. And and if this doesn't work, I'm going to I got to try something else.
You know what, man? Like,
money was a problem. I didn't come from money. So this whole time we're talking about, I'm scratching by, and I was getting sick of that. I was getting sick of just straight up scratching by, I wanted a little more steadiness in my life.
But you embody, and I mean, I mentioned this a lot on the show, man. Everyone we talk to, whether it's these battle rappers, these photographers, these artists, DJs, you all have similar stories, and it's and I know I sound like a broken record. It is extremely motivating to see how much shit you have to put in, because there's so many people who we know, even Brian, think that the opportunity is gonna knock on their fucking door, and it don't work like that.
Yeah.
Brian and I put out mixtapes 12 years ago, and there was times we were down in the dumps, we're done, and this here, what you're on is our last hurrah. You know what I mean? And we're 33, 34, and it just finally we're kicking it up a notch. So you saying you got to a point, I feel you on that. I know Brian feels you on that. So it's it is extremely relatable, and the fact that you kept going with it, it's extremely. I mean, I envy it, man. I really do.
There's this weird fine line, right, between what's being driven and what's being obsessive. Because you also have to have some sense. There are some people. There are some people I know or bands I know at a certain age who have unrealistic expectations. And that ruins music for them. After a certain point, you gotta create art for the sake of creating art if you actually want to do it well and you actually want to feel fulfilled, And there are a lot of fucking really talented people who go through their lives creating that don't get the thing.
Yeah.
So it's such a fine line, and it's a strange balance, but some of us just aren't company men, and I was talking with somebody the other day. It's I'm in a strange transition right now. I have family. None of the things I'm doing are really fucking money makers, something like that. But I'm talking to someone the other day, and we're you know what? We didn't sign up for the gold watch. We're not company men. You needed to give up a part of yourself to get that security and to get that regularity. You need to give up some of your personal freedom, give up some of your artisticness, and you need to kind of go into the thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. People got to take care of their lives. They got to take care of their families. No judgment, But some people are going to die on the cross, as you said before about the Four Tops. So
I stand by that.
Yeah.